Welcome to This Explainer. Forget the ghosts, the ghouls, the whole paranormal thing for just a second. If we really want to understand fear, we have to look at the anatomy of real horror. The absolutely most terrifying stories out there, they aren't supernatural. No way. They are rooted entirely in the unpredictable, violent, and honestly obsessive dangers of human behavior. Today, we're going to break down 4 documented accounts of survival. We'll map out how everyday situations can just instantly devolve into a fight for your life, and we'll use these stories to dissect the anatomy of the threats hiding right in plain sight.
Imagine driving your car. You think you're just doing a good deed, right? And suddenly, the person sitting in your passenger seat looks at you and says, "There they are. My boys are gonna mess you up, bitch. You're done." Just feel that absolute drop in your stomach. That chilling shift from total normalcy to immediate, life-threatening terror. That is exactly where we're starting our first case study. So let's dive right in.
Part 1, The Gas Station Decoy, or The Trap of Good Intentions.
All right, picture this. The year is 1993. A 20-year-old factory worker is exhausted after a grueling night shift, and she pulls her battered old Chevette into a gas station at like 1:30 a.m. Out of nowhere, she's approached by this neat, well-dressed woman who is acting totally terrified. She claims her boyfriend just kicked her out, and she points to a massive green car idling near the dumpsters with these shadowy figures inside. Naturally, wanting to protect a vulnerable woman, our narrator tells her to hop in, but literally blocks away, the whole illusion shatters. The quote-unquote scared woman stops checking her seatbelt, demands money, and just starts wildly cackling as that exact same green car begins trailing them. She hasn't rescued a victim at all. She's led a predator directly into her vehicle.
Cornered, and realizing she's about to be robbed, or honestly, much worse, by the men in that trailing car, the narrator didn't panic. Actually, scratch that. She got angry. And this is absolutely crucial because it brilliantly illustrates that sudden snap of survival instinct. Approaching a yellow light, she just floored her Chevette, blowing through right as it turned red. This separated her car from the green Caddy, which got trapped behind cross traffic. Then, she slammed on the brakes. The unbuckled decoy smashed face first into the dashboard with this vicious crack. The narrator grabs a workbox cutter from the side door, shoves it right in the attacker's face, and screams, "Get out of my car before I cut off your face and make you eat it." She literally punched and shoved the decoy out the open door and just sped off.
Part 2, The Ground Floor Threat, or The Illusion of Sanctuary. Okay, so this next case takes us to the UK, where a university student's ground floor sanctuary turned into a total nightmare. And this happened after she had actually helped an erratic neighbor who had been stabbed previously. This wasn't just some random crime. It was a methodical, escalating home invasion. It's like a giant, terrifying puzzle. Step 1, she notices the strings securing her backyard wooden door have been intentionally cut. She replaced them thinking, not much of it. But then comes Step 2, the dead of night. Her boyfriend is woken up by a bang and whispering right outside. Step 3, they hear the wooden door to the backyard violently burst open. They are just frozen in bed. And then Step 4. The bedroom window, right next to them, slowly begins to slide open as the intruder starts speaking in an unrecognizable language, trying to breach the room.
The narrator and her boyfriend absolutely bolted from the bed, ran out of the house, and called the police, who thankfully arrived in under 5 minutes. They caught the intruders. But guys, the crucial point here is what the police actually found. These weren't just some neighbors looking to swipe a laptop. No, they were high on meth and heroin, and they were carrying a massive kitchen knife. One of them was even sentenced to 2 years in prison for carrying a weapon with intent to harm. To put that into perspective, had her boyfriend been a heavy sleeper that night, well, this explainer would be covering a very, very different and much more tragic story.
Moving on to Part 3, The Unraveling of Tim, or The Intimate Danger.
So the first 2 horrors we looked at involve strangers, or, mere acquaintances. But what happens when the threat is a gentle local musician you deeply loved? A year into the relationship, Tim just vanishes, only to be found in an involuntary psychiatric hold. After the narrator discovers he's cheating and kicks him out, that gentle persona completely melts away. It's replaced by these dead wild animal eyes and straight-up death threats. Then, 6 months of total silence pass. But the escalation resumes. Tim, unmedicated and manic, posts this cleverly disguised, catchy song on his Bandcamp page that explicitly details assaulting and murdering the narrator. Days later, the ultimate boundary is crossed. The narrator looks up at her design studio job to see Tim walking right into her workplace, armed with a fake portfolio and an elaborately fabricated work history just to secure a fake interview.
Somehow, the narrator managed to hide in a manager's office and was eventually smuggled out to the police station. But get this, while she was shaking in terror, literally filing a police report, Tim sat there and finished his fake interview. He casually asked if his ex still worked there, mentioned his local radio song, and then told her coworkers to pass along a message, with warmest regards. It's honestly a masterclass in psychological torture. And while he delivered that polite message inside, he walked out to the parking lot, found the narrator's abandoned car, and just paced behind it, waiting for her to come out.
And believe it or not, it gets worse. Long after the narrator secured a restraining order and moved to an entirely new city, she reconnected with Tim's former roommate, Liz. Now, Liz revealed that during Tim's breakdown, literally just days before he walked into that design studio, she had seen a large axe in his car. Disturbed by his unhinged social media posts, Liz actually stole the axe and hid it. Tim ended up trashing their house in a rage when he couldn't find it. So, the takeaway here? The narrator narrowly avoided a fatal workplace encounter entirely because her roommate trusted her gut and removed the weapon. Just incredible.
Part 4. Online Rage to Real Life, or The Digital Breach. Now, we transition from physical intimacy to the modern horror of the digital age. In today's world, we kind of just assume a screen protects us, right? We assume the people we game with or argue with online are thousands of miles away. But for a 17-year-old girl working the second shift at a local movie theater, that digital boundary evaporated entirely. It's a Friday night, and our 17-year-old narrator goes on a massive kill streak in the game Overwatch, repeatedly eliminating the exact same player using the character Bastion 6 times in a row. Pretty standard video game victory stuff. But shortly after, she gets an audio party invite from that exact player. She accepts it, totally expecting some 12-year-old kid to talk a little trash. Instead, she hears the voice of a grown man with a thick Spanish accent. The audio assault that followed went way beyond your typical gamer rage. When the narrator teasingly asked if he was mad, this grown man didn't just hurl insults. He graphically threatened to decapitate her mother. As the match continued and his character was killed yet again, he just completely lost his grip on reality. The narrator described these inhumane, rabid animal noises, howling, spitting, sounding literally as if he were being gutted and possessed by a demon simultaneously. He screamed into his microphone for 20 uninterrupted seconds until the audio physically crackled and the mic just broke. So she turned off the console thinking, it was just a bizarre encounter with an unhinged stranger. But then came Sunday morning. She logs back onto Xbox Live and finds this exact message waiting for her. Good morning, followed by her actual full real-life name. And then the ultimate terror. I know you have to go to, followed by the exact physical street address of the movie theater where she worked. The anonymity was gone. The monster from the headset knew exactly who she was and exactly where she would be.
Come Monday, her boss, an older woman who just really didn't understand the digital threat, dismissively insisted she still come in for the busy Jurassic World and Incredibles 2 rushes. So the narrator went to work, and at 8 p.m., a short man walked right into the crowded lobby and hollered her full name. It was the exact thick Spanish accent from Xbox Live. He had crossed from a digital server into her physical workplace. She hid in the back room and, despite her boss again telling her to just get back to work, she called the police. They arrived, placed the stalker in handcuffs, and walked him out. To this day, she has no idea how he doxed her or what he actually planned to do to her in that theater.
And finally, Part 5. The Cost of Survival, or the Lingering Echoes. We've covered 4 radically different profiles today: the opportunistic ambush, the home invasion, the intimate stalker, and the digital breach. But to truly understand the anatomy of horror, we really have to look at the aftermath. Because these encounters, they permanently alter a person's baseline sense of safety. The factory worker on the highway pulled over and was completely overtaken by the shakes once her adrenaline wore off. The university student moved back home, but she still suffers from night terrors, waking up at the slightest noise. The designer had to completely uproot her life and move to a new city just to escape Tim. And the 17-year-old theater worker? She admits she is on guard 24/7, constantly terrified, despite now owning 2 large guard dogs. Surviving doesn't just mean walking away unscarred. It means carrying that vulnerability with you forever.
Which brings us to the final thought of this explainer. The horrors we examine today didn't happen in haunted mansions or dark abandoned woods. No, they happened at a gas station after work. They happened at a ground floor bedroom. They happened in a design studio. They happened on a Friday night video game server. The real monsters look like stranded women, friendly neighbors, romantic partners, and anonymous avatars.
So if the most terrifying threats hide seamlessly in our daily routines, our commutes, our homes, our relationships, our hobbies, how vulnerable are you right now? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and stay safe out there.